Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me on this lovely Wednesday evening. My name is Monica Formosa and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in the Wide Bay area of Queensland, Australia. Welcome to Paper Happinessity. Tonight, second Wednesday of the month, is Colour Inspiration Night. So these are the colours that we were given. This is our lovely inspiration photo. Crikey, I can't even remember who chose it. But each week, or each challenge, different members get to pick our inspiration photos. And it all gets loaded up, and the wonderful Lou Kitzelman picks our colours for us and tells us what we need to use. So that was our inspiration photo. What I actually did was stamp a one sheet wonder, and I follow Ruth Trice over on Artful Stamping and her wonderful community over there. That's what we call them, a stamped one sheet wonder, because what happens is that after we stamp it up, we then decide how we're going to cut it up, and you might cut it into 2, you might cut it into 4, you might cut it into, however many, 10 if you need to, depending on everything. We'll say hello to everyone that's here at the moment. Hi Bev, thank you for joining me. And Diane, great to have you. And Vicky, welcome. Come on in, sit right down, move along, girls. There's room for everyone here. So I'm really excited to have you here. So tonight I'm going to recreate the sheet that I stamped. And then I will. I won't actually make the cards tonight, but I do want to show you like how I decide I'm going to cut them up. For this one, I decided that I needed quite a few cards, so I made them into like square. Oh, I think this is like a 5. Yeah, for a 5 by 5 square card. I don't mind going a little bit different for special occasions rather than the usual regular C6 sized cards that we have. So we will work on that. Okay, so our inks that we will be using, as you saw in our photo: Merlot, Mossy, Meadow, Granny Green Applle, Gorgeous Grape, Coastal Cabana. And I've also added in a little bit of grey granite. Let's look at the English side. Grey granite in my background. Now, challenge rules say that we are allowed to add our neutrals, and we are allowed to add metallics. And if we don't have the exact colours, well, we can swap out to something that's close. And it's all about using what you've got in your collection. Okay, the stamp sets that I used for my little project, I used this watercolor image here from Artistically Inked. That's in my background. By the end of it, you can barely notice that that's there, and I used my grey granite to stamp that one. Most of my stamping was done by Merriest Moments. I used the big poinsettia, and then I used the small holly leaf. I used this really lovely ferny leaf here, and I also used the well, it's dottage, but it's almost like a star dottage. It's a little bit different, so I used that. And then for my sentiment, A Joyful Christmas to You and Yours. I thought I love that little verse, so that's what I used there. In Heavenly Hollyhocks, I used this little quartet of flowers here. And then Season of Chic, I grabbed the snowflake and stamped that, and right at the end I stamped that in Coastal Cabana. So that's what I did. And for my cards, what I did to stamp my sentiment, I stamped it on Mary Merlot cardstock and heat embossed in white, and then added a little loop of the golden vanilla ribbon that's in the current little mini, the July to December mini that's currently out at the moment. If I have people here watching that don't normally regularly watch me, all the products that you see me using tonight are available in my online store. I'll get my tongue around that. And if you don't have a demonstrator and you'd like to have a look at a catalogue, please send me a message and I will put a catalogue out in the mail for you. If you do already have a demonstrator, just contact them, and I'm sure they'll be able to help you with any queries you may have regarding the products that I've used. Oh, okay. A piece of A4 basic white cardstock. I have grabbed my mats and I've just covered them. These are the piercing mats, and I've just covered them both with a piece of grid paper just to protect them a little bit more. I have got my Stamparatus out, and I will show you how I will stamp. I'm not going to stamp on the Mary Merlot tonight. I think I might stamp directly onto the stamped cardstock. I have a few cards that need to go overseas, so the less layers I have, the better it will be. Okay. Bev, you haven't used the Merriest Moments anywhere near enough. Oh, well, I kind of love this set because it's got lots of different, especially for one sheet wonders. You've got so many different, you've got large flowers, a smaller flower, you've got different types of foliage, you've even got a dottage stamp, so it's quite a good one. It's one of those that that you can use just the one stamp set with. So, all right, let's get cracking because we're going to run out of time. So I will grab a piece of scrap paper somewhere. Because I'm going to stamp off and use second and third generation stamping. Now, for anyone who is new to stamping, what that means is that I will ink up my stamp. Oh, I'm going to run out of room here. I'm going to ink up my stamp, and then I'm going to stamp off once. Good catch. Stamp off once on my scrap, and then I'm going to stamp once, twice, possibly 3 times. Right, so that's second, third, fourth generation stamping, what we call. I'm going to turn my stamp around, stamp off again, so we're not getting the same image again. Stamp off. I'm going to spin it, and we're going to always remember to stamp off the edge of your pages, because when you're doing this kind of technique, you eventually do cut your cardstock, and it kind of looks a bit weird if you've got like a full image but only half an image on the other side of your card, on the other side of the piece of your cardstock. All right, so that's that one. So there's our background, really, really light, but just enough to give us a little bit of texture and colour in our background. The next colour I'm going to stamp is the Mary Merlot, and I'm going to use the large poinsettia flower in this, and I'm going to stamp it in groups of 3, in clusters of 3. All right, so we're going to ink up, we're going to stamp, and we're going to twist and stamp again, just for a just to add a little bit of depth. And then I'm going to stamp here. Now, because I've stamped off the page again here, if I go and stamp it again, you can see that there's a line through. And if you were to stamp it again, I'll show you on here. If you were to twist that and stamp it again, you'll get this. So you're better off re-inking, stamping off, and I should have my mats under here, because I will get a much better image. The photopolymer stamps, because they don't have a cushion like the red rubber, you do get better stamping if you have the cushioning in underneath. Okay, and you cluster your flowers nice and close, because if you were to arrange a posy in a vase at home, you would have them really nice and close together. All right, so again, we're going to stamp, we're going to twist, stamp again, we're going to ink up, stamp, twist, stamp again, stamp, twist, stamp again, oof, that's okay. I will stamp off here. Oops, sorry guys. Bit quiet, I'm just concentrating. Oh. Alright, and we'll just put maybe one down here. Alright, and again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up, stamp off on my scrap, and then and I might just put a little bit of like so. Cool. All right, so that's done. I don't use Mary Merlot very often, and it's a little bit, the case is a little bit tight. Right, so the next thing I did is I went in, grabbed my Mossy Meadow, and I used this leaf here, this image from Merriest Moments, and I want to show you a little trick. Now, this is quite a large image, and to stamp it, you're kind of infringing on the other images. Not that that's a problem, but if you're a little bit concerned, what you can do is go to the corner and just ink up using the corner as a like it's kind of masking, and you're only inking up that much. And then what I did is I went to the valleys in between each flower, and I stamped twice. All right, so I've created that rule now. Let's go to another valley. We'll stamp and stamp again. Same deal. Let's go to a valley and we'll stamp and stamp again. And we're going to do that for each cluster. I'll go this way. Do a third one in there just to fill in that gap. Such a gorgeous image, this one. I love it. Okay. All right, now see how this is kind of encroaching onto the other image. What I'm going to do is just shorten my image by just inking up almost half, and it does not matter at all if you stamp over the top. And the second generation image will look like it's actually further behind. So don't be afraid of stamping over what you've already stamped, especially if it's second generation stamping, because actually I might just go a little bit smaller with this one too. So once again, because this is so close together, I'm only going to ink up almost half my stamp, and we will come over here and we will squeeze this guy in here. There we go. So that's done. Right, just clean my stamp off. I've actually got my Stampin' Scrub out tonight. I've gone back to using that because I find it cleans my stamp so much better. I love my chamois, don't get me wrong, but for these, like these stamps that have the tiny lines, I find that the Stampin' Scrub, because it's textured, it's got like this lovely scrubbing mat, and I kind of feel like it cleans just that little bit better. Oh guys, and my laptop has decided to time out, so all right, next we're going in with our Granny Apple Green. We're doing Granny Apple Green. So, and this time what I want to do is go around the edges of my flowers. So that's the rule now we're going to create, and that's the rule we're going to stick with. So we're going to a little bit of holly, stamping using first and second generation stamping. Okay, let's go over here. Can I squeeze that one in there? Of course I can. All right, the aim of the game is to fill in around your images. That didn't quite stamp properly the first time, so then I've got that darker spot, but that's all right. We can, that's easily fixed later on. We can add a little bit of dottage or flowers, the smaller flowers I'm going to add. Oops. Did everyone watch the eclipse last night? It was quite amazing, although it was a little bit overcast here, so I didn't get to see all of it. But yeah, it was cool. All right, so that's my granny apple green done. Now I would like to grab my gorgeous grape, and we're going to use this little quartet of flowers that comes from the Hollyhocks set. And we're going to add these lovely little flowers. And once again, we're going to fill in all those areas. Doing all around the outside. We're going to just fill in the gaps around the outside of those flowers. The poinsettia flowers. I'll just keep calling them poinsettia, and they're nothing like poinsettia flowers. So, geez, I'm not stamping this well tonight. Add that one, and I want to go up here again with second generation somehow up in there. Gosh. Remember to twist and turn your stamps so that you're not looking at the same pattern all the time, because your brain will automatically look for a pattern and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Right, kinda, yeah, I think maybe one over here, tuck one in here, and don't be afraid of adding more stamping once you cut up your cardstock and you kind of think, oh, well, okay, I think that kind of needs a little bit more of that in there. And I'm going to grab my Coastal Cabana, and we're going to add a little bit of snowflakes, a few snowflakes. And because I don't want this to be too dark, I've actually stamped off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these lovely snowflakes to the edge of my it's almost like it's there in the background, but it's kind of not. I'm going over, stamping over what I've already stamped. And I'm going to do one over here. And maybe one poking in there and maybe one poking in there. And the last thing I need to do is the dottage. And for that, I'm going to actually go back with Mossy Meadow because I want to draw that Mossy Meadow colour through the rest of my stamping. And I'm going to do full strength here. And we're going to now just fill in all those spaces that we have. I was talking with Vicky, and Vicky's still here watching, and she said it's almost like adding like baby's breath. And it is, it's like, it's just amazing the difference adding the dottage can do. All right, we're going to go I've got ink on my finger and I've just smudged. Dang it, that's all right. We can add an embellishment there, right? That's the whole name of the game. Okay. So I'm covering up any spaces that I see. Any gaps. Now, poinsettia flowers normally have a yellow center, but yellow was not in my brief. So I'm going to use Granny Apple Green because that's the closest. It's pretty close to yellow in my books, and I don't have that little stamp. Where's that stamp? I'm going to grab this little teeny tiny stamp that I've got here from Merriest Moments, and oh, let me see, a block. I'm just going to add centers. Now on my cards, what I ended up doing is adding some of the Festive Pearls in the middle, so you can't really see those green centers, and I cannot see because of, oh, wrong color, shoot, that's my Mossy Meadow, not the green I was after at all. No one will know except you and me. Yeah, I do too, Bev. I love the color, and I don't use it enough, this Granny Apple. It's such a beautiful green. I think when Parakeet Party hit the shelves, Granny Apple has kind of been forgotten a little bit, poor thing. So get it out and give it some love, guys. It's a beautiful, vibrant green. And that's pretty much it. That's my stamping all done. So more dottage, says Bev, more dottage. So okay, all right, so what happens next? Next I decide how I'm going to cut it up, and I've got vellum. I've drawn up some vellum templates, Now, this is the one that I used last time to make my cards. And what I did, I made 6 cards, but I trimmed these down into squares so that they would work with a square card. All right, so you've got, that's 6 cards that you could make. Okay, that would work, that would definitely work. You've got 8 cards that you could make. Lots of white spaces, top and bottom, that you could easily add a stamp a sentiment if that's what you wanted, or stamp one and add it with a label. So there's that option. What else have I got here? This is 12. Not ideal because you don't have any of the poinsettia flowers in these, but the rest are quite okay. So that's a 12. You've got 2 rows of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 rows of 6 that you could make gift cards with. Okay, so there's that option. This is a little bit different. I've got 4 large, let's turn it around this way, I think that'll work, that's better. So you've got 4 larger sections and then 4 smaller ones, and that would work. Not a great deal of poinsettias in these 2, but you know, there's still enough stamping on either of those that it would work. What else do I have? Oh, this is a little bit different. This is a 5. So you've got two regular size pieces that you could use on a C6 card, and then you've got the 3 square. Just seeing if this way is a little bit better. That would work. That works just as well. In fact, I like it. I like that way better. The 2 larger ones and then the three squares on the top. And I think that's about it. I've got square templates here. That's pretty much what we looked at before. What's this one? Once again, not ideal because you've got, there's no of the Merry Merlot flowers in like these sections. So, but yeah. All right, so what I'm going to do is, I'm wondering whether I can do this one. Let me cut up this one, and what I'll do is I'll show you how to so to chop this up, I'm going to cut it in half, which is roughly 14.9 and a half or something like that. And then again, you know, roughly, let's go, let's say 14 and a half. It doesn't really matter. Let's go 7. And let's go, I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to go all right, save this strip because you can put that on the inside of your card. Okay, and now this one I'm going to chop off. That's a 7, so I'm going to chop this off at 7. So I've got a 7 by 7 centimeter square. And the same thing here, I've got a 7 by 7 square. Okay. I need some, I don't have some, hold on a minute guys. I'm going to grab some Coastal Cabana cardstock, but before we map them up, what I want to do when I find, because I've put everything all over the place because I don't have a lot of room here, I finished that, so let's put that away. Okay, all right, so I've got my Stamparatus set up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink my greeting up, and I'm going to use Merlot. Okay, I've got my clear sheet of plastic over on this side, and I've got ink everywhere. Okay, so you've got this little index image happening here. And Cheryl Miller, if you're ever watching, I want to thank you so much for showing me this little trick. All right, so you put your cardstock in underneath, and you place it where you need it to be placed. I kind of like it there. Does that look half decent? I think that looks all right. I'm going to lift my plastic up, take it away completely, and I'm going to, it's my husband's phone going off, and then I'm going to stamp my image, and there you have it. Love it. It's exactly where I need it to be. So there's that one. Let's do the same with this one. All right, so you don't need to restamp it because the image is still in the same spot on the plastic because you haven't moved your stamp. We're going to I got my smudge there, so I'm going to try and put this somewhere where I can add a embellishment when I'm finished. Right, remove your plastic, ink up your stamp, and we're going to stamp it. There we go. All right. I will just wipe that clean. I literally have got piles of stuff everywhere. Okay, so I'll take that away and I'll wipe that off. Because unfortunately, being a red-based colour, it will stain. All right, where's mine? So now I just need to work out what I'm going to do here. All right, so what did we do? I think this was a 7. Yes, so I'm going to go 7.5. Let's go this way. And we'll go 7.5 again. What have I got here? 14. Can I go 14.5? I don't normally do centimeters. Is that going to fit on a card front, guys? I have no idea. I really don't. So, And unfortunately, I don't think those are going to be big enough. No, as I say, that's not quite going to be big enough to fit that on there. You could trim this down. You could, you know, if you wanted to, you can take some of that white space off. That would work, and you could have little. You could make them into gift tags to match your cards. How about that? That would be a good idea. And two of these and two of these. And it's just a matter of gluing these on and adding these to the front of a card. Oh. Oh. Tombow is my choice of glue, unless of course I'm using foil, and then I go to my either tear and tape or my snail. And I love the Coastal Cabana because it just picks up those snowflakes that are there. Absolutely gorgeous. I also need let me get some thick. All right, so when I make a card base, and I'm a bit weird, I really am. What I will do is I will take my sheet and I will score it at 5 3/4. I will turn, I will cut at 4 1/8 because that is half our width. I will fold it and you'll have this little bit, this little tail overhang. So I'll go back to my 5 3/4 and just trim that off. It's just a little bit big, unfortunately, but it will still work. It's right to the edge. Chop that off. Chop that off. I'm not going to glue this down because I think what I might do is I might fiddle around with it and I might add possibly, not quite sure, because there was grey granite. I think there's already enough Merlot there, but to fill in, like it's a little bit awkward, so you could, you know, fill in like so. Not really Christmassy. I'll have to have a bit of a play, and I think the what is it? The Mossy Meadow will be. The Mossy Meadow will be too dark. It's not the right color, so I'll have a play around and see what I come up with. But that's when I have weird rectangles for my card fronts. That's what I kind of do. I kind of add in. You know, there's also the, what are they? The scalloped ones from Colour and Contour. the dies that go with that stamp set. So you could add a few scallops or something, the scalloped die cutter, a rectangle, and just trim it down and slip it in underneath, so that there's also the scalloped edge from I think it's hand pen petals or something. So yeah, so I'll make those cards up and show them at some point. I need that. That's nothing, and that's nothing. I can dump that. So I will keep that. And see, like these, keep these. Always keep your scraps, because then you can put them, you know, either this way or up and down in your card. This way will tend to, like, you can get a second section out of that for the inside of your card, just to decorate. Bring that. What the heck? Oh my gosh. Just to bring that design in from the front to the inside of your card. And I've actually lost, I'm not kidding, I've lost the lid off my glue. Nope, there it is. Found it. Okay, now that's it for my stamping and card making. But before I go, I want to show everyone we're off to On Stage. Stampin' Up On Stage, which is like a gathering of all the demonstrators over Australia, countrywide, and this is the first time in 2 years that we've been able to get together because of nasty reasons. Thanks, Heidi. I'm so glad that you're here. It's nice to see you. Add silver or gold instead of grey. I think so too. And like in this, because I put the gold in the centers here, I think if I do the same and put a little bit of gold foil in underneath, I think that would look kind of special, especially for Christmas. You know, you'd like to do something a little bit more special for those Christmas cards that you get. But anyway, what happens when we go to On Stage is that you don't have to, you're under no obligation to, but demonstrators like to swap projects with other demonstrators, so we call them swaps. And what happens is that you can make any number of swaps. You can make 10, or you can make 110, or you can make 210 if that's what you feel like doing and if time permits, but not me. I didn't have time to do that. So what I did is we made this card in my Father's Day class. So I thought, what a great idea. The design was totally mine. I've used the, what are they? The basic border dies to create this lovely pocket. And I've made 60. So I've made 20 of the male version, and it pulls out and it has a little greeting on the bottom there. You can add, you know, it'd be nice to add a gift card to there. And then I've also added a piece of basic white on the back that you could write your greeting on the back. And they're pretty much all the same design. My Christmas version uses, Handmade Wishes bundle. So there's a punch and stamp coordinating stamp set for that. The Painted Christmas DSP and the Real Red and Garden Green ribbon with love. And again, like you could have stamped that a little bit lower, and once again would be a nice as a for a gift card for someone rather than a present. And then my female version uses, I can't even remember half of this. I've had a big day. True Beauty and Charming Sentiments. I think that was for my sentiment, the greeting on the inside. Yes, wishing you everything wonderful. And that's been stamped on. That's the soft sea foam. Tone on tone here. And I think that could possibly be grey, believe it or not. Stamped in basic grey. And the Wash in Beauty DSP that's across the back. And that punch is the decorative circle punch I try to use punches wherever possible. And again, on the back, I've got a piece of basic white. Because I was making so many, I thought a punch is so much more efficient than having to. This one I used the All That dyes, and that was a bit of a headache, die cutting all them out. But anyway, those are my swaps that I'm going to swap with my other fellow demonstrators while I'm in Perth, because I'm off to Perth. So, you like that, Heidi? Yeah, I don't mind it either, just for something a little bit different. I think the guy version, the male version, is pretty much my favourite out of those three. But yeah, so I'm off to Perth. We're going to drive down to Brisbane tomorrow afternoon and fly out. That's the plan, unless something happens between now and then. And then we actually fly out at lunchtime on Friday. So I won't be here next week, unfortunately, or the week after, because we're having an extended holiday over there. Hubby's coming with me, and we're gonna check out the all the tourist spots around Perth. So, oh, I like that idea, Bev. Distressed gold, the specialty paper. Yes, I kind of like that idea. Might grab. I do have some of that spare. I'll grab some of that, and you don't need much. You only need a little, like a little strip that you can tuck in underneath. What other news? Yes, so I won't be here. I will try and upload some photos because we will be checking out some new product, and I think we get to play with a new kit that is going to be available very soon, possibly. I think that was the rumor. And I won't be back until we get back home on the 22nd of November. So that's my next 10 days or so, and I don't know. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to make it on that week either. I'll see how I feel. Might be a bit jet lagged, and but we'll see. All right, guys, that's it from me. I've been a bit longer than usual tonight, unfortunately, but I hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you for joining me. Thanks, Diane. I'm glad you could stop in and watch. So nice to have you join me. And Bev, next year, Bev, oh my God, next year I want to go with you so we can all, and Heidi too. Heidi, are you listening, Heidi? We'll all go together. We'll all meet together. Can't wait. That's my dream, that we can all meet up. And anyone else here I love meeting new demos and making friends from all over the place. I've got so many friends from all over the world. It's unreal. I love Stampin' Up. That's the best thing about this whole thing, using Stampin' Up and their products and being a demonstrator. It's great. Okay, that's it. Good night. Take care. And we will see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much, and stay safe. Bye.